presence of my enemies, I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me, 'cause I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. I raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I raise a hallelujah. Oh, fear, you've lost your hold on me. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Of my enemies, I'll sing a little louder, louder than the unbelief. I'll sing a little louder. My weapon is a melody. I'll sing a little louder. Heaven comes to fight for me. I'll sing a little louder. In the presence of my enemies, I'll sing a little louder, louder than the unbelief. I'll sing a little louder. My weapon is a melody. Sing a little louder. Heaven comes to fight for me. Sing a little louder. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. The King is alive. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender. are breaking new ground. So I yield to you into your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soul I now surrender. You are breaking new ground. So I yield to you into your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. There is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom. The kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry your new fire today. Where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom. The kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry your new fire today. Make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I want to speak to you on the topic of there's a purpose to the process. Every process has a specific purpose, and God is a God of the process. He's always worked that way in His time and in His way from beginning to end, from Genesis to Revelation, even today. That's how God works. We are a people, a culture that lives the opposite way. We seek to remove the process in any way that we can. We want things quick. We want it easy. And so I believe that's why we struggle so many times to understand what God is doing, to be patient and to wait on God. If you're anything like me, that frustration causes my attitude to change toward God and toward my situation, even towards other people. I start saying things I wouldn't normally say and doing things I wouldn't normally do, all because I didn't trust the process. God is always working in that way. And Moses is a guy I want to talk about tonight who had to work through the process. He had to trust God and have patience more than anybody else, I believe, in the Bible. And it started in Exodus chapter 3 at the burning bush. Let's read in verse 1. Here's what it says. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it didn't burn up. So Moses thought, okay, that's weird. I'm going to go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he'd gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, here I am. Imagine if you're Moses in that moment. You're tending the flock, you're with the sheep, those dumb, stupid sheep. You're a shepherd, not a great job. You see a burning bush, you go check it out because that's crazy. And then the bush starts talking to you. And you're like, what is happening? I've been quarantined for too long. I got to get out. There's a bush on fire and it's talking to me. And the bush turns out to be God. Like this really happened. And God starts talking to Moses and it says, don't come any closer. Take off your sandals for this place where you're standing. It's holy ground. And then he says, I'm the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And at this it says, Moses hid his face because he realized, okay, I'm in the presence of God. And he hides his face because he's ashamed of who he is. And God starts talking to Moses and he tells him, Moses, I've got a plan for you. I know that my people are suffering. They're hurting. They're oppressed. I need you to go free them. I need you to be my guy to do that. And Moses kind of questions God a little bit and he says, God, I don't know if I'm called to this. God says, I'm with you. He says, what do I say to the people? God says, you say, I am who I am, sent you. That's all you need to say. And I imagine after Moses does that and God says, you got this, Moses is like, okay, I'm ready. I'm fired up. I know that God's got me. I know I'm his dude. And he plays, the Rocky theme music. And he's like, I'm ready to go. I got this. I can take these people from Pharaoh and take them to the promised land flowing with milk and honey. Let's do it. Moses has been empowered by God. Have you ever had a moment like that? A burning bush moment. A moment where God showed up in your life and you knew he was real. You knew he was working. Maybe it was at BR or it was at Live or it was at a fall riot. And man, you walked out of there like, okay, God is real. God is working. I'm going to change things. I'm on fire for him. I'm in a place I've never been before. I'm walking so close to him and things are going to be different. And you were so on fire. Those are incredible moments. Maybe it was a situation that you went through. For me, that's what it was. It was a situation when I was 18 years old that God used to get a hold of me, to wake me up, to change the direction of my life. Those are incredible moments, moments God uses. Never forget those moments. But see, after a while, we go from the burning bush to reality. Moses went from that amazing experience, that amazing moment with God where God changed him, he empowered him, and he said, Moses, you got this. You're going to change the history, the course of the world by doing this. He made it to reality. A moment of confusion, a moment of frustration. He says, skip to chapter 5 in verse 22 and 23. He says, why, Lord? Have you ever asked God before, why? Have you ever said that? Not out loud, but maybe in the things that you thought, the way that you acted. God, why? Why are you doing this? Why have you abandoned me? Why are these same things coming back into my life? Why are the same people coming back? Why am I making the same mistakes? God, why am I drifting from you? God, why can't I create a habit of having a quiet time? God, why? Why this? Why that? He says, why, God? Why have you brought trouble on this people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he's brought trouble on this people. And you've not rescued your people at all. He says, God, you haven't done what you said you were going to do. Like you told me you were going to use me to free the people, but they're still in captivity. I went to Pharaoh like you told me, and he said, no. God, what is happening? Moses went from the bush to reality. He's back in life, and it didn't go his way, and he's like, God, what are you doing? There's a difference between our burning bush experience and everyday life, reality. Not that your experience wasn't real, but everyday life isn't like that. And somehow we fabricated this idea that if I don't wake up in the morning and my life, my walk with Christ isn't like that burning bush experience, then I'm doing something wrong. Then God's not with me. God's not present. I've taken steps back in my faith. Man, I've got to fix some things. But see, life is life. Life is hard. Life is full of pain. It's full of anxiety. It's full of stress. It's full of unmet expectations. It's full of things we didn't expect. It's full of so many things that are so difficult and so real. Yet sometimes we're so hard on ourselves because we're not living in that burning bush moment. And we question God and we say, God, what are you doing? I believe we've got to relook at the burning bush moment. See, that moment wasn't just some experience with God. Let's stop spending time trying to figure out how we get back to that moment. That moment was the beginning to something. See, that was the start to what God was going to do in Moses' life. That was just the beginning of the process. Moses was going to be in this for years. God was doing so much more than Moses could see or imagine. And sometimes we read that story and we're like, Moses, you're an idiot. Like, how could you not see that God was hardening Pharaoh's heart so that he could get glory? But I believe if we were Moses and we didn't have the bird's eye view, we couldn't see the whole story, we would respond that way. We might respond the same way as Moses. God, I'm so frustrated with you. Where are you? You're not the same God that you were in that burning bush. But the truth is that he is. That was the beginning to a beautiful masterpiece. Because there's beauty in the process. There's beauty in the work of God. As I was preparing for tonight, making the graphic for tonight to promote, God put an illustration right in front of my face. I've always really admired Chinese writing. I'm terrible at writing. I have horrible handwriting. Maybe you're like me, or maybe your handwriting is beautiful. That's awesome. You're probably a girl, and that's amazing. My wife has incredible handwriting. Mine is terrible. And so I look at Chinese handwriting, and I'm like, how does someone even take the time to write that way? Like, it looks like an artist had to do that. You know what I'm talking about? It looks amazing. I did some research, and I read that it takes about 2.5 to 3 years to learn how to actually write that way. And if that's all you did for that amount of time. Some of those symbols actually have and take 23 different strokes to form the symbol. It takes a long time. There's a lot of details that go into it. There's a process. But did you know that just one of those symbols can make up one entire word in the English language? The outcome is much greater. The results are incredible. So there's beauty in the process because the result is better. See, God did something in that burning bush moment in your life. He began something, and he's continuing it today. There's beauty in the process. There's beauty in the waiting because God is in control, because God knows what he's doing. We've got to trust that a little bit more. So maybe tonight, you need to start trusting God. You're not trusting him right now. Maybe it's because of the situation that we're facing. Maybe it's for different things that have happened in your life and you're really down on your faith and your hope and your trust in the Lord. I want to encourage you tonight to lean back into him. That his process is going to continue no matter what you feel or what you think. And his process, listen to this, students and whoever's listening, his process is for your good.